In the vast realm of Japanese folklore, few stories are as strange or unsettling as the legend of the Rokurokubi. These creatures embody a type of horror that lingers, one rooted in the familiar yet twisted into something monstrous. By day, they look like anyone else: wives, daughters, and family members, living quiet lives in the safety of ordinary homes. But by night, they transform into something entirely different: beings capable of stretching their necks to unnatural lengths, their heads floating freely in the darkness, watching and terrorizing those unfortunate enough to cross their path. Many have heard whispers of the Rokurokubi, but few know the full extent of their chilling tale. The Rokurokubi have a unique power. By nightfall, their heads detach from their bodies, allowing them to roam as they please, unbound by human limits. Some say this freedom is what the Rokurokubi cherish most: the ability to break away from the mortal coil and indulge their sinister appetites. While these creatures appear entirely human during the day, it is only in the darkest hours that their true nature surfaces. The Rokurokubi are masters of disguise, hiding in plain sight among humans, and often spending their days in isolated, quiet forests or small villages where their presence goes unnoticed. In these settings, they blend in easily, playing the role of attentive wife, devoted daughter, or helpful neighbor. Their secret, however, lies dormant until the sun sets and the shadows deepen. In remote, dense forests where few dare to tread, the Rokurokubi feel most at home. These woodlands are shrouded in mystery, with towering trees that cast long, ominous shadows and thickets so dense they swallow sound. Travelers are warned not to venture into these forests alone, especially at night. According to legend, the Rokurokubi dwell in these hidden groves, where they can easily evade the curious and unsuspecting. By day, they wander these woods like any other person, seemingly harmless as they go about their business. But once night falls, their transformation begins, and the true terror of the Rokurokubi is unleashed. It is in these forests that the Rokurokubi stalk their prey, their long serpentine necks allowing their heads to float silently through the trees, watching from the shadows. Some tales describe how these creatures observe travelers from afar, their heads hovering high among the branches, eyes gleaming with malice as they wait for the perfect moment to strike. Their silent approach is one of their most terrifying qualities. The Rokurokubi can creep up on their victims without making a sound, moving in eerie silence, their elongated necks giving them a distinct advantage in their pursuit of the fearful and unsuspecting. For those who encounter a Rokurokubi in these forests, the experience is nothing short of a nightmare. Imagine wandering through the dark, only to feel an inexplicable presence nearby, a feeling that you're being watched, closely and intimately. Suddenly, out of the corner of your eye, you catch sight of something hovering, grinning with an expression so unnatural, so filled with malice, that fear freezes you in place. These floating heads are often described as having wide, wicked smiles, their faces twisted with a dark delight as they revel in the fear of their prey. Some say the Rokurokubi derive sustenance from the terror they instill, feeding off the fear of the living. Campers who venture too close to these forests at night tell some of the most horrifying stories of all. Many have awakened in the dead of night, only to find a floating head looming just inches away, staring down at them with unblinking eyes, watching them as they sleep. These encounters are paralyzing. Victims are often too terrified to scream or move, trapped under the piercing gaze of the Rokurokubi. It is said that in these moments, the Rokurokubi can see into the depths of a person's soul, reading their fears, insecurities, and secrets. The mere presence of the Rokurokubi is enough to leave some victims forever scarred, haunted by nightmares of floating heads and twisted grins. While the Rokurokubi are undoubtedly frightening, they are not always violent. In some legends, they haunt humans purely for the pleasure of it, taking amusement in the terror they inspire. There are stories of travelers who survived encounters with a Rokurokubi, only to be left trembling and shaken, unable to explain the nightmarish vision they'd seen. The Rokurokubi would simply watch, sometimes laughing quietly, and vanish into the shadows before dawn. These creatures enjoy toying with their victims, finding dark satisfaction in watching humans react to their disturbing presence. But not all Rokurokubi encounters are harmless. In darker versions of the tale, these creatures are known to punish those who disrespect nature or wander arrogantly through the forests. For travelers who fail to respect the ancient spirits that inhabit these lands, the Rokurokubi delivers swift and merciless retribution. There are accounts of Rokurokubi luring such travelers deeper into the forest, where their heads surround the intruders in a circle of floating, grinning faces. These unfortunate souls are driven to madness by the sight, their minds shattered by the relentless terror. Some do not survive the night, while others stumble out of the forest at dawn, forever changed, their eyes vacant and haunted. The origins of the Rokurokubi are shrouded in mystery, but some say they were once human. According to legend, the Rokurokubi are cursed beings, transformed by dark magic or ancestral sins. It is believed that these creatures were once ordinary people who committed grave transgressions, or whose families carried deep, hidden curses. Unable to escape the weight of their sins, they were condemned to live as Rokurokubi, forever trapped in a cycle of terror and isolation. By day, they live normal lives, but when night falls, they lose all control, their heads detaching from their bodies and drifting through the darkness, seeking out new victims to torment. Some tales suggest that the Rokurokubi embraced their monstrous nature willingly, choosing this form as a path to power or immortality. Driven by greed or the desire to transcend human limitations, they made dark pacts with ancient spirits or meddled with forbidden magic. But their transformation came at a terrible cost, trapping them forever in a form that is neither fully human nor truly supernatural. Bound to the earthly realm, they are forced to exist between two worlds, belonging to neither. The forest where the Rokurokubi live, often called the Forest of Rokurokubi, is a place few dare to enter after dark. Even during the day, a sense of unease pervades the area. The trees are tall and twisted, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers, casting long shadows that seem to move on their own. The air is thick and heavy, filled with an unsettling silence that muffles even the sound of footsteps. As night falls, the atmosphere changes further, the darkness becoming almost tangible, pressing in on those who dare to wander into the forest's depths. To those familiar with the legend, the thought of encountering a Rokurokubi while lost in this forest is a nightmare come to life. The combination of darkness, silence, and the lurking presence of floating heads creates an overwhelming sense of dread. Many have ventured into these woods only to return with tales of ghostly whispers, flickering lights, and the unmistakable feeling of being watched. For those who have encountered a Rokurokubi, the memory is indelible, a scar that never fully heals. The Rokurokubi continue to be one of the most intriguing and terrifying figures in Japanese folklore, capturing the imagination with their eerie beauty and chilling nature. With their long necks, floating heads, and piercing gazes, they are creatures of pure nightmare, always watching, always waiting, always ready to punish those who dare to venture too close. Their legend serves as a reminder of the hidden dangers lurking in the world and the importance of respecting forces we may never fully understand. For those who find themselves near the forest of Rokurokubi, the warnings are clear. Stay away after dark, respect the ancient spirits of the land, And never, ever look too closely into the shadows. For somewhere in the darkness, a Rokurokubi may be watching, her head drifting silently, her eyes gleaming with a dark, unspoken hunger. Nestled in the rugged, misty mountains of Niigata Prefecture, Japan, Danden Forest has long haunted the minds of locals and daring adventurers alike. Shrouded in mystery and superstition, this dense woodland is infamous for the chilling, supernatural phenomenon known as the Well's phantom flames. For centuries, stories of people entering the forest never to return or escaping just barely with their sanity have kept its legend alive. But what truly makes Danden Forest a terrifying place isn't only the disappearances, it's the eerie, floating lights that haunt its shadows. These mysterious lights, the phantom flames, appear only after sunset, flickering between trees, casting their ghostly glow on the forest floor. Witnesses say the flames are mesmerizing, drawing you in with strange and shifting colors that glow in shades of blue, green, and yellow. And yet, these lights are anything but friendly. Local legend holds that they are the spirits of ancient warriors, wandering the forest in restless torment. These ghostly soldiers are said to have fought brutal battles in the nearby mountains, their spirits lost to time, but bound forever to the forest, unable to find peace. For them, Danden Forest is both a prison and a home. Those who have dared enter the forest and return to tell their tale describe the flames as beautiful but dangerous. They hover a few feet off the ground, illuminating only enough to give the forest an otherworldly glow. In the dark silence of night, these lights seem almost alive, flickering and dancing among the shadows, calling to anyone who stumbles upon them. They seem harmless at first glance, even inviting, but the legend warns that following the phantom flames leads only to despair. Locals believe that the flames have a purpose: to guide trespassers and wanderers deeper into the forest until they lose their way or meet an untimely end. They speak of how the lights drift in unpredictable patterns, often staying just out of reach, luring those who pursue them into the densest, most treacherous parts of the woods. It is said that those who choose to follow the flames rarely make it out alive. Instead, they are drawn to their doom, with the forest swallowing them whole. The phantom flames are not the only mystery that surrounds Danden Forest. There are countless other stories of eerie encounters, including ghostly apparitions, whispered voices, and shadowy figures glimpsed out of the corner of one's eye. People who have entered the forest with ill intentions, like illegal hunters or loggers, are said to be the most vulnerable to the forest's supernatural wrath. Legends warn that the forest protects itself, and anyone who disturbs its ancient tranquility might find themselves led astray by the flames, or worse, into hidden ravines and traps scattered throughout the area. The people of Niigata believe the flames serve as spiritual guardians of the forest, keeping intruders at bay. Many locals even perform small rituals and offer prayers when passing by the forest's edge, acknowledging its power and pleading for protection from the spirits within. Some consider the flames as a kind of test. If your intentions are pure, you may be allowed to pass without harm. But those with ill will may find themselves ensnared by the forest's traps, never to emerge. Records of people going missing in Danden Forest stretch back centuries, and each generation has added its own stories to the chilling legacy. Farmers speak of losing cattle to the woods, their lanterns seen bobbing through the trees before vanishing entirely. Travelers who have dared to camp near the forest describe waking up to see the ghostly flames flickering just beyond their tents, taunting them to come closer. In more recent decades, groups of hikers and campers have entered, only for search parties to find their belongings scattered miles apart, without a trace of the people themselves. There are countless stories of disappearances and near misses, passed down from parents to children. Some survivors claim to have heard faint cries for help in the distance, only to find no one when they ventured closer. Others report that their compasses go haywire near the phantom flames, spinning wildly and pointing in random directions, making it impossible to navigate. As the forest grew more infamous, locals began to avoid it, allowing its mysteries to remain unsolved and its legend to grow. To many, Danden Forest is more than just a physical place. It is thought to be a boundary where the spiritual world intersects with our own, where the living and the dead coexist. The phantom flames, in particular, are seen as proof of this connection. People who have tried to capture them on film or photograph find that the flames vanish as soon as they press the button. The pictures come out blurry, with strange light spots or nothing at all. It's almost as if the flames exist in a different dimension, one that only occasionally crosses over into ours. In Japanese folklore, the boundary between life and death is often thought to be thin in certain sacred places, especially in forests or mountains. The phantom flames, it is said, remind us that there are mysteries beyond human understanding, forces that lie beyond our grasp. For this reason, many who live near Danden Forest treat it with respect and even reverence, believing that the forest's power is not to be disturbed. Despite its dark reputation, Danden Forest draws a fair share of curious souls. The eerie beauty of the phantom flames attracts thrill seekers, photographers, and ghost hunters, all hoping to glimpse the supernatural lights for themselves. Some even attempt to touch or capture them, only to find that the flames dance away, almost playfully, vanishing when they get too close. A handful of explorers have gone in with equipment, hoping to document the phenomenon, but the forest seems to play tricks on technology. Batteries drain mysteriously, cameras fail to capture images, and recording devices produce only static. Those who have seen the flames up close describe the experience as unforgettable. The flames seem to flicker with an almost sentient awareness, watching as much as being watched. For some, the encounter is thrilling, but for others, it's terrifying and undeniable reminder that the forest holds secrets too ancient and too powerful for human curiosity. The legend of Danden Forest and its phantom flames endures as both a warning and a challenge. The forest remains a place where beauty and danger intersect, a mysterious, enchanting realm that holds the line between life and death. For some, the forest's danger is an invitation, a call to face the unknown and to test one's courage against the supernatural. But for most, the legend serves as a reminder that some mysteries are best left untouched. As the sun sets over Niigata, the forest grows darker, and the first flickers of the phantom flames appear, dancing between the trees. They call to anyone who watches long enough, whispering promises of adventure and secrets. But the forest keeps its silence, holding its secrets close. To venture into Danden Forest at night is to make a choice to respect the spirits that guard it, or to risk becoming one of the legends yourself. Now that you've heard the tale of Danden Forest, the question is, would you dare to step into its shadows? Would you face the phantom flames, knowing the fate of those who went before you? If this story has piqued your curiosity, or if you've had your own eerie experiences, leave a comment below. And if you're still brave enough, stay tuned for more chilling tales from the darkest corners of the world.